they're living in fear, and their belief systems are that these people are bad. They're so bad that we're glad they're gone. But we keep forgetting that we're all human beings and we're all connected and we're literally all in this together. And they aren't both aware that both of them have been programmed. And then the system that they put together through is working famously, because you have very smart, intelligent people and some people that aren't smart and intelligent. They're all believing in these things and hating on each other.
Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Inspired Conversation. Today, we're bringing on one of my dearest friends, wonderful folks out there, helping people every single day to become a better version of themselves. Please welcome with me, founder and CEO of Chemical Free Body, Tim James. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, John. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, thank you for being here, Tim. It's timely. We're recording this on September 11th. And yesterday there was a shocking event in America as a young, very prominent conservative voice got executed in front of thousands of people in Utah, Charlie Kirk. I wanted to get your response. What are you seeing? You're so tuned into the spiritual and mental health and the psychology, which is so important when it comes to health. What do you say to that?
Well, one thing I can tell you is the power of the media. And let me illustrate this, because I don't really have a TV. In my work trailer here, there's a TV that, you push the button, it comes up really slowly. That thing's only been up a half a dozen of times, and it's only when I'm watching a documentary. Okay. I don't watch TV. I stay off of social media. I just work and do shows and educate and teach and write and do this kind of stuff. So, or I'm out on the farm working, right? There's always something to do. And so I had a friend over yesterday. We harvested some fresh sprouts and made a big sprout salad with kimchi and all this stuff. And she was out there eating the kimchi, and she's like, "Oh my God." And it was like this horrifying thing. And I'm just doing dishes, and I heard her through the screen window there. The screen in the window. And I'm like, "What are you doing on your phone? Like, you're supposed to be having," I go, "Why are you watching social media?" And she's like, "Oh my God, this horrific thing." And I'm just like, shut your phone off. Like, how are you going to digest food if you're in a state of fear? Like, when a bunny rabbit gets attacked, a fox is chasing a bunny rabbit, all that blood leaves the organ systems to go to the extremities to run or fight itself to try to live. You're not going to digest your food. And then she's like, "Oh, well, this Charlie Kirk and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, so I'm not even trying to get the news, and then boom, I get it almost like instantly. Then I call a friend because he harvested a beef cow, and he's from Portland area over in Wallow. And he's like, "Hey, you coming to LeGrand or Portland anytime soon?" I was like, "Well, yeah, unfortunately I am." I'm coming down this weekend to actually pick up my videographer he's moving in with me for a couple of years to record all this stuff we're doing and make some documentaries and stuff. And I said, "I'll be down." So I'm hauling a beef to him tomorrow. And he said, all he got up, he was madder than a hornet about Charlie Kirk, just pissed off. How could these people do that? These people on the left. And I said, "Well, there's your problem right there, bud. It's like you're dividing. Those people on the left are human beings, and the people on the right are human beings." And then later that day, a couple hours later, I'm in the grocery store, and the people in front of me are talking about the incident, right? So I'm just like, wow, the media is powerful. Like, it's getting out there. And so that power reminds me back to when actually George Bush Sr. was president. What happened was there was I'll pull this out of my rear, but there was one of the top cancer researchers in the world who had been studying cancer for 50 years came out and said that broccoli was the most healing thing that he'd seen in 50 years. And they called it phyto, plant. That's what phyto means, plant, phytochemo. And they tried to patent broccoli, but then the courts threw it out and said you can't patent nature. Well, 600 pounds of broccoli got dumped on the White House steps, and it made the news. And George Bush Sr. said, "I don't like broccoli," right? But because of that little blip, what happened is the price of broccoli doubled overnight, and it's stayed double since then because people understood the value and the anti-cancer properties of broccoli. And then, but they don't know that it's the sulforaphane, and the content are much higher in onions and garlic, and it's like, where's that? And then the broccoli sprouts actually have 50 times the anti-cancer properties as the broccoli plant. But just goes to show you that food heals and media is powerful. So they have a very powerful outlet, and we have to be very careful. That's why I try to unplug from it, because most of it's garbage, except for broccoli.
I agree with you. And if we think about the John F. Kennedy assassination, Martin Luther King assassinations, that was before mass media. There was television, but not mass media. It still had a profound impact. So these events do have and in a sense, when it's someone that has such a large following, it always creates a shock. But I'll ask you this: what shocked me, aside from a young, healthy man in his prime, getting literally taken out, executed, what shocked me was the reaction that I saw from like troves of people online. And that's what we do. I research, I look at things, and I go, what kind of state do you have to be in spiritually, physically, mentally to celebrate the execution of another being who wasn't a murderer or he was just a guy that they disagreed with? Who celebrates that? What state are we in?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's somebody whose belief systems, in my opinion, have been groomed to feel that way. And the key word there was groomed. Like all these people, when they were born, they were freaking nothing more than an unconditional loving being, right? But they got into this one way or the other. And this is the thing, is like, I try to get out of this right versus left, black versus white, pro, anti-vaccine, pro, all this stuff. To me, it's all divide and conquer strategies used to get us fighting against each other, why our liberties and freedoms are stripped away behind the scenes. That's what's actually happening. So the question's not like, why are they doing this? The question is how do the people that are aware help our brothers and sisters heal? So like my friend, he's a good person. He's one of the best people I know, but he's caught up. They have hijacked his brain as well, just as the people that you spoke about that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. They're living in fear, and their belief systems are that these people are bad. They're so bad that we're glad they're gone. But we keep forgetting that we're all human beings and we're all connected and we're literally all in this together. And they aren't both aware that both of them have been programmed. And then the system that they've put together through is working famously, because you have very smart, intelligent people and some people that aren't smart and intelligent. They're all believing in these things and hating on each other. It's simple.
Incredible to me. It's incredible to me that you can have oftentimes such intelligence and grasp big concepts and then believe in a false, fake left-right divide that always leads in the same direction, no matter who's in charge. The train keeps rolling in the same direction. It's just got a different paint job on it. It's quite astonishing to me. But my heart is in the healing, Tim. I wonder, what can we do to bring the message out that healing is at the core of all of this? And unless we focus on healing, all of it's going to get, just going to get worse and worse, right?
At the core of that, it's our belief system, John. So when these types of events happen, whether somebody dies or somebody does something, pedophilia and all, whatever, something that's really considered horrible, is, how do I say this? When stuff like this bad that happens, our response should not be vitriol and anger and hatred towards that person or that group. It should be compassion. We should treat them not in an egotistical or put down or look down upon way, but you treat them like a 3-year-old. They just don't know any better, right? When a 3-year-old spills some milk or does something like this, you don't just beat the crap out of them and hate on them. They're 3. They don't know any better. It's like, and you give them unconditional love and you try to help them. That's where we need to get to be as a society to heal this. So if you're feeling anger towards these people that were wanting to they were celebrating Charlie Kirk, then you have some spiritual growth that needs to take place, because until you change, how can you expect anybody else to change or this whole system to change?
And it is 100% in my experience true that hurt people hurt people. There's no whole, no loving, unconditional person that goes out and hurts other people. It just doesn't happen that way. So
yeah, how did they get that way? How did
exactly.
they get that way? They've been groomed.
And as a society, we do two things. I mean, we do have to take the responsibility and protect ourselves from people that hurt others, and that can mean lock them away and then find a way to help them. That's the first measure. But the second measure is really so important, is we have to find the realization that it's only through love that we can bring about greater healing. So how do you do that in your small world? Like what are things that you do you think that positively influences that?
As far as, well, I mean, it's just being unconditional loving, and not going to these groomed responses that we've been taught as a society from parental and societal conditioning, creating some space in between these knee-jerk reactions and actually, using your heart rather than your head to lead. That's where it comes down to. It's like being somebody who's a novice versus somebody who's wise. It's just like we can't keep doing the same thing. I mean, it's 2025 and we're still at war with people, and they're still chopping people's heads off, and people are getting executed, and people are celebrating this stuff. It's just like, come on, like, until we change, how can you expect anything else to change? I used to follow UFC. Pat Miletich, former UFC Hall of Famer, world champ. He's one of our ambassadors. I coached him on his health and did some stuff with him years ago. He came into my camp, and guess what? All those UFC athletes that are old, most of them, they're in pain and they're suffering. They beat the crap out of their bodies. It's not something glorious and stuff. And so if I'm buying UFC tickets, I'm sorry guys, but that's the way it is. If I'm buying a UFC ticket or watching Fight Pass and that stuff, then I should not complain when they send our young children off to war, because I'm perpetuating violence. And those guys, those young kids that are fighting, trying to work their way up the ranks, are going to end up like Pat. They're going to be hurting for the rest of their life. And people are like, well, they're doing awesome things and they're changing their life and they're doing all that. Well, yeah, if you have the talent and drive to become a world champion in anything, I guarantee you could have a successful landscaping business, or you could be a successful naturopathic doctor, or you could be a successful cowboy or a regenerative farmer, or anything that you put your mind to, something that doesn't beat the crap out of other people and promotes violence. Sorry, that's the way it is. And I used to sign up for it. I'm like, I watched Gaethje fight Tony Ferguson, and then I was just like, Gaethje's just landing bomb after bomb on his face, and I'm like, finally, I felt my heart, and I'm like, stop the fight. And they didn't stop it. In another round, he's just taking bombs. And I'm like, is this guy on some type of drugs to be able to take this much beating? And then there's like, is he like an alien or something? I mean, you want to watch a fight to stop all fights and not be around it. Watch that fight where Gaethje fought Tony Ferguson. 2-3 rounds of this stuff, they finally stopped the fight. And I'm like, I stopped. I'm like, I cannot be a part of this anymore. And I realized, because my heart got involved, that if I was going to promote UFC fighting or any type of fighting, even boxing, I mean, look at, what's his name? Muhammad Ali. That guy was like, brain trauma. Like, we celebrate all this stuff, but why are we celebrating it at high school? The fight breaks out and everybody wants to go see it. It's all exciting. It's like, we got to get to the point where if a fight breaks out, everybody is appalled, and those people should be ashamed. That's where we have to get to. It's all our own internal struggle.
Yeah, I agree. And this is even, this is violence for absolutely no reason. Like, if you have to defend yourself, if you have to defend defend your family, sure. But this is violence for no reason. So, these are the events, and we're recording this on September 11th, which, we could talk about for days and on end about the incredible.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second, because when
trauma event,
when Trump got shot, I went on a podcast to talk about health, and for almost the entire podcast, they were talking about Trump getting shot. And then finally, the moderator Charlie was like, hey, Tim, you've been quiet over there. And I'm going to say the same thing I did to them. Because in September 11th, people remember 2,996 people died that day. And everybody kind of remembers where they were. Think about it. Where were you when 9/11 happened?
I know exactly. I was at the gym. I was
people remember it was boom. It was the power of the media once again. And it was like this crazy thing, America's being attacked and this kind of stuff. Right. And so it's like, wow, that's powerful. 3,000 people died and everybody knows about it and everybody knows where they lived. But that story, just like when Trump got potentially shot and Charlie Kirk's story yesterday, 4,300 people died yesterday and that story didn't get picked up. That's a 9/11. So 1.5 times the amount of people that died in 9/11 in America yesterday died. 4,300 people died yesterday in America, and that story is crickets. And I can actually
why did they
make a cricket noise with my lips.
300 people die yesterday?
They died of processed foods that were grown in nutrient deficient.
What stat is that? Dying of processed foods. What does that exactly mean?
That means they ate processed foods and eventually they died from it. It's a slow death. It's not going to kill you when you eat a hamburger or a corn dog. And people don't even think about this, like, because I thought, all my health issues and stuff, I thought I'm buying food and they're in the store and that's all protected because of the FDA and I pay money to taxes and Food and Drug Administration. They protect my food. I didn't know that the chicken strips that I was buying were coated in wheat that was sprayed with glyphosate that destroyed my tight junctions and created leaky gut and let undigested food particles and microbes get into my bloodstream and destroy my health. I didn't know that the chickens were growing way faster than they would in nature because they were injecting hormones and antibiotics or hormones in them to grow fast. And they became weak. Then they had to put antibiotics in to keep them alive just so they could harvest them. And then I'm eating all these antibiotics. So then, later down the road, I ever get an infection, I go into the hospital and the antibiotics don't work on me because I'm already resistant. And then I could lose my foot, my leg, my arm, and die possibly because the antibiotics don't work. So I didn't know any of this stuff, right? I had no clue. And so 4,300 people, and this happened the day before Charlie Kirk was shot, and it happens today, and it's going to happen tomorrow. And we're literally paying for poison. We're buying foods from deficient soils that have been basically just, RAPED'd. The soils have been gone. There's no nutrition there. The fulvics and humics are gone. And then they're shipped on average 1,500 to 2,500 miles and ethylene's gas and sprayed to them. And then they process them and they put, children's cereal enriched, vitamin enriched. That means synthetic chemicals were added too. And you eat it and it slowly takes your life and you have a lower quality of life. And you're not going to be reaching your spiritual peak when you're eating low vibe foods your whole life. You're going to be a deficient and you're going to be easier to be led astray when you're in pain and when your cells are vibrating at a low frequency. That's where it's at. And then throw fear on top of it and you're screwed.
Let me ask you this, Tim. You've been on this journey for, what did you say, 16 years, 15 years, 16 years?
Well, 2011, January 1st, 2011, I started my journey to eating fresh, living foods and doing green juices twice a day. And then 2018 is when I knew, actually at that time, I looked around, I was like, something's going on. There's more here than what I'm looking for. So I had a spiritual awakening when my cells awakened to their wild potential. And then in 2018, I kind of started really finding a good solid spiritual path, and now that's kind of the most important part for me.
Exactly. So that's my question. It's not to say that people that have a crappy diet can't have a spiritual awakening or can't have spiritual revelations, because they do. But how do you feel that the cleaning up of your diet, the treating your body like a temple rather than like a disposable thing, how did those things enhance your spiritual journey? And how do you think, was that a catalyst for you for greater?
Yeah, in the beginning, like all I was trying to help people was like, you got to clean up your digestive tract. I mean, everybody's got 6 to 12 pounds of fecal material in their colon. I mean, that's rotting garbage. We got to get that stuff out. That's why I promoted colon hydrotherapy, aka colonics. It's a water therapy. We have people take our gut detox product to keep the intestinal villi, get that stuff cleaned out for those that won't do colon hydrotherapy. And I know there's a bunch of you that won't, even though I can be very convincing. If you want to know what colon hydrotherapy is, just watch episode 38 of my show, Tim James Unleashed. That was like 250 episodes ago, but I interviewed a Act 1 certified instructor level colon hydrotherapist, Rebecca Harder, on colon hydrotherapy. And we'll give you the true dope on what's going on with colon hydrotherapy and how powerful it is. Now, especially if anybody has fibromyalgia listening to this, you might want to do 10 to 15 sessions in a row and get on some clean herbs and start eating fresh food and just see what happens to your fibromyalgia. I think you'd be surprised around day 11 to 13. You probably will have a massive turnaround.
So what you're saying is, basically, in a nutshell, since our foods have become artificial and poisoned and void of real nutrients, our experience of life mirrors that. Isn't that true?
Yeah, it's low vibe, it's void, and it's a hollow shell of what's possible. And I can tell you, like, I was eating all kinds of processed food and stuff like that. I was dull. I had been dulled down. I was still the happy-go-lucky Tim, but much less. Like, and I always talk about this. My world was shrinking. It was becoming smaller and smaller. I didn't want to take my shirt off in public anymore, not because I was overweight, because pretty much everybody else is nowadays, but because I was embarrassed of my skin, because I had eczema all over, cracking and bleeding on my elbows, and I had skin issues on my back, and I was embarrassed.
I had multiple experiences with people that, and I don't want to judge anyone for either appearance or weight or anything, but I'll just say that what they all shared was they were severely overweight, and they were eating obviously very, very bad foods. So I remember having conversation with them, realizing they could not process what I was saying. Like, they could not process what I was saying.
They're literally on channel 2 and you're on channel 3.
Exactly. But when later they went through, for whatever reason, they cleaned up their act and became healthier, they literally said to me, I couldn't hear what you were saying before. Like, I couldn't understand what you were saying, but now I can. So I think people underestimate how these toxins literally make it impossible for their brains to function properly and to have a real hard brain connection and make better decisions. Do you have that same experience?
100%. We work with people. That's all I do all day long. That's it. We talk about this with people. We work with people. I do it myself in my own life. Everywhere I go, we live in a polluted world. Okay. Go ask the biologists that are doing plant samples and soil samples and water samples and what they've seen over the last 20, 30 years. They'll tell you the world's getting more polluted, more polluted, more polluted. And guess what? Since we are in that fishbowl, think about it. If you have a goldfish in a fishbowl here, A, and you goldfish B over here in this fishbowl, and you decide to put a little bit of gasoline and PFAS and glyphosate and pesticides and fungicides and herbicides and larvicides and chemical fertilizers and all this crap into this fishbowl and not the other one, which fish do you think is going to be healthier? Okay. Yeah. A 6-year-old is going to answer every time and go, well, they'll be able to see it too, but they're like, fish B is going to be healthier because it doesn't have all this crappy environment. Okay. So we live in a polluted environment today. No sense of getting stressed about it. What are you going to do about it? I got 2 air purification systems right here. Well, I don't have the money for air purifier. Then crack your window at night because your house is 100 times more toxic than downtown LA on the smoggiest day because of the off-gassing of the glues and the particle boards and the laminate floors that Dr. Stephanie Seneff from MIT said was linked directly to autism, right? Stuff like this. So it's really about educating people. People have to get education because once you know this stuff, you can start making different changes. Cleaning up the water, eating fresh foods. And you got to get your cells cleaned up. It doesn't matter how much good nutrition you put in. If the cells are full of toxins, the nutrition can't get in. So step 1 is always detoxing. And a lot of it's like, as you detox the cells, you'll actually start detoxing your mind and you'll start waking up and you'll literally red pill yourself to what's really going on because you're going to start tapping in and nobody's going to be able to pull the wool over your eyes anymore. Because as you start self-healing yourself, it's very empowering. It's very empowering. And it can happen very quickly. And that's what happened to me. I got all this education. I got thrown into utopia. I mean, all these fresh foods and sprouts and green juices and doing enemas and all these things. And they showed me how to clean myself up and I did it. And all of a sudden I had this, I'm like, I feel like I'm 18 again. Like every cell's, my arms are tingling with energy. I feel like I need to go do stuff. And it's like, and I can do stuff. And so that's what propelled me. And that's what I try to help people with is like, let's get your health dialed in, raise your vibrational frequency, tap more into that spiritual being that you are. And then you can go around, you won't be duped very easily. And you're going to run around helping other people light them up by you being a light yourself. And that's part of the ripple effect.
Tim, you come on every other week here and we have you on and you do your shows and you go to other people's shows and you share a lot of knowledge and wisdom. But for people who feel like, man, I need some sort of package or some sort of guidance, or I need to know step by step, what's the best way for them to go about it, to get on their step by step detox and renutrification and healing journey?
Dry fast. Just kidding. Not really, but it might not be the first step, but it's definitely a goal to work towards for sure, at least once a year. But we help people get ready for that. And so, that's what we do. And, I'd probably just go to our website /inspired and start with the Inspired Optimal Health Bundle. That's what I would do. And there's other savings bundles there. If that one's a little bit too pricey for you, go down a couple levels or get two of them, maybe husband and wife, and you're sick. I just talked to somebody yesterday. They were on my inner circle. She was actually a colon hydrotherapist. And I was like, Cindy, I haven't seen you for a long time. What's been up? She's like, well, kind of been up and down with my health all these years. And she's in the field. Like, she's helping people. She's doing something tremendous to help people get their lives. And she was struggling. It was probably some personal stuff. And I said, why don't you share with the group, how when you first came to one of the dinner classes, the detox classes at my house and all this stuff. And then I'm like, why are you here? Why you're back now? It's like, she's like, I've been following you for 10 years and watching your growth. And I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Okay. So now she's ready to go again. And so if you're that type of person where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and if you're not, then you're not even going to hear me. You're going to be like, John, maybe you're not ready to change yet. That's okay. We'll be here next year, 6 months, 2 months, 10 years. I ain't stopping. Because I can't believe how healthy I've gotten now. I can't believe it. Like, I'm healthier now at 52 than 37. And I have to tell people, and many of the things that we share besides the products are free. They literally cost nothing. Like getting outside and fresh air and grounding and that kind of stuff. But Cindy, like a lot of people that want a little help and want a little boost, we have herbal-based products formulated by Dr. Scott Treadway, former Marine, super smart guy and very spiritual, to help people pull the garbage out of the cells, out of the digestive tract, and start flooding the body with nutrition with the greens and our fulvic-humic blend we call Super Soldier. So that's what I would do, and get on the nano silver stuff and start balancing your gut dysbiosis. And you can read all about it at chemicalfreebody.com/inspired.
Last question, Tim. Water. We talk a lot about, we did shows about it. Now, a few months in, you have been, I know you've had it installed, the Water Hero system, a company you work with. How happy are you with it? What kind of results have you been seeing?
Well, I'm delighted. We have structured water devices now, and we've had them for a while, since earlier this spring. And actually, we just had a guy order 3 of the 1-inch whole house units, and I called him up to make sure it wasn't a fraud order, because I didn't want like $6,000 worth of products to be shipped. And he's like, no, I got one for my house and one for we have 2 chicken barns. And I was like, how many chickens you got in those barns? He's like, I got 4,000 chickens per barn. I was like, oh, well, that's a big operation. I go, what are you getting the water for? He goes, I'm into all this stuff, dude. He goes, I'm doing everything I can to have the healthiest chickens on the planet and the healthiest eggs. I want to produce the best products possible for myself, my family, and our clients. I was like, well, that's awesome. So basically what we're talking about here, guys, is structured water. It's the 4th phase of water, and it's made in nature abundantly. Unfortunately, most people in the city and stuff like that, it's basically the bond. It's not just the pollutants, but the bond angle of your water has been disturbed. So it's supposed to be in 120 degree hexagonal sacred geometry, and it's now at 105.4 degrees. I don't know why it goes there, but it does. And it doesn't absorb well, and it's just kind of off kilter. Now, if you get water out of a stream that's running very fast, like 2 meters per second, that water's structured. When you juice a cucumber or celery or any vegetable, the water inside of those vegetables is actually structured. The water inside your body is structured. It's the 4th phase of water. And so this type of water has tremendous benefits when you drink it, because it just absorbs much better. You don't need to drink as much of it. You get way more hydration, and it increases the mitochondria ATP production, which is basically your energy. So you have a lot more energy. You're able to detox better. It helps the lymphatic system move that kind of toxins and stuff out. And some other free ways, if you want free water and you can't afford one of our structured water devices, you can just make flaxseed water, or you can throw chia seed in water. and it'll structure the water for you in that gel like state. So those are some things people can do on the cheap. Otherwise, they can get a handheld device. We sell lots of those, and then we also have whole house units for people that want to have their whole house water restructured like God intended. And gardening units too, and we can also do custom agriculture units. So sorry.
No worries. chemicalfreebody.com/inspired. Tim has, like you said, his Tim James Unleashed podcast. Then, there's a way to become part of his inner circle group. Tim's out there every day beating the drum, helping people to become really the best and healthiest version of themselves. And Tim, I love that kind of obsession and striving for excellence. I love you always want to improve. You always, okay, so we got here. How do we get here? We get here. I love that. Excellence is, I thrive on people
Mastery.
For me, it's the word excellence is just striving to be the absolute best you can be. Right.
Yeah.
And really what we're learning is that's detoxing. When we remove all the shit that keeps us from it, we already are that. Right.
Yeah. There's a guy online now, his name's Rich, and at the first of the year, he did a burpee on day 1 and 5 push-ups. Then the next day, he did 2 burpees and 10 push-ups. And the next day, he did 3 burpees and 15. He's up to like, whatever, how many days, 250 some burpees a day, and he's doing like 1,600 push-ups nonstop. So he's either doing a push-up or he's in plank mode. He's not stopping. He's online and stuff like that. And so, I don't know. I started out with a certain amount. So today, I'm at 36 burpees. I'm doing 1 burpee a day. I'm doing I already did 100 push-ups this morning. It's just he's inspiring, and so now I'm threw that into my routine just because it's kind of a game on top of the other stuff. And I didn't have time this morning to do my burpees. I started to do 1, then I got distracted. But I'll get them done before the end of the day, and it's kind of fun. Once I get to 100 burpees, then I'm just gonna start doing that with the push-ups and the sit-ups too, and just add 1 a day. I'm not doing 5 a day like him. I don't, because I mean he can spend like almost an hour and a half doing push-ups and 2 hours. I mean I don't need to do 1,500 push-ups 250 days from now. The guy's stronger than hell though. And it's inspiring, right? And he says, I'm not doing this to show off.
Because was he in bad shape when he started? Was he
he's doing, I don't know what I actually talked to him because I'd like to sponsor him and stuff like that, but he's a cool dude. And he's like, I just want people to know it's not that you have to do 1,500 push-ups like me. He's done 4,000 unbroken push-ups before, and he wants to eventually break the push-up record is one of his goals. And so this is part of his training for it. And he's inspiring all these people, and he's got little kids. And he said this one 8-year-old girl just kept showing up. And he thought it was a troll until she finally showed herself. And like, she's doing push-ups. And now this 8-year-old girl has got her parents exercising and the whole family. And it's such a part of that inspired ripple effect. It's so cool. And he's inspired me. I'm like, I'm doing burpees and more push-ups now than I've ever done in a while. So I feel like I'm in 7th grade again or something. And I don't know. It's just cool stuff. And everybody has the potential to do this. But, he said it's not that I want people to do 1,500 or 2,000 or 4,000 push-ups. It's just, I want them to know when they're sitting in their chair watching and doom scrolling on their social media, that Rich is doing something hard. And I think his thing is do something hard 365. He goes, that today I'm doing 1,500 push-ups and 250 burpees. What are you doing? And it's just give you a little spark to go do something. I think about it too. It's like, what's Rich doing today? He's probably doing 1,600 push-ups. Okay, I can do 100. And so it's inspiring. You guys are inspiring. This channel's inspiring. I like being around that frequency of people that are into growth and growing and maximizing human potential, because I know I'm going to be doing more push-ups than I'm going to blow away what I used to do in 7th grade, not because I used to get in trouble, and then it's like here in the morning I get in trouble doing something, 50 push-ups, and at lunch I'd 75, and then in the afternoon, I was probably doing 200 push-ups a day just because I was getting in trouble, but now I'm doing it because I want to.
There you go. Tim James, the chemical-free body guy. Thank you so much for joining us again today, brother. Always a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you.
Inspire Tribe, we love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon.